Welcome to the Lauren Blackwell channel. I want to talk about Cassie and her husband, Alex Fine. So, as Cassie is giving her testimony, it is obvious that the things that she is saying has left people reeling as we're all learning the details of what transpired in her previous relationship with her ex. And a lot of the things are, simply put, they are insane, okay? They're wild. And the reactions that I'm seeing are very interesting. So, Alex Fine has been supporting Cassie throughout all of this. He's been showing up in court with her. There are times when he's had to leave, depending on the role that he has to play later on as the case moves along. But for the most part, he's been there. So he has sat through all of it, and he has been, a lot of people have been taking note of his facial expressions, his reactions to certain things that Cassie is saying, and it's been interesting. However, I've seen a lot of negative reactions towards Cassie as far as the role that she played in her relationship. So, as the case continues to proceed, it seems like more people are starting to have less empathy for Cassie as they are hearing how she acted in her relationship. Now, I don't know if people are just not aware of how people act in relationships as if they sit around like robots all of the time, but I know that a lot of people try to make the most of certain situations that they find themselves in. So they're going to try to have fun at certain times, even if their overall experience is negative. They're going to try to stick around to see if they can turn it positive. You know, people do different things that keep them in some negative situations. So it's not always the way people think that it is. So, because people are starting to hear that Cassie was not always passive in the relationship, they're kind of turning against her almost. And they're starting to leave the usual negative comments. But I want to talk about Alex Fine and the comments that I've been seeing. So, these are mostly coming from men, okay? They're all talking about how crazy it is for Alex to sit there and listen to his wife talk about the things that she did with her ex. Some people are even going as far as insinuating that there's no way that they're going to stick around in a relationship after they've heard this much detail about what their girlfriend or wife did with their ex. And they're calling him all sorts of names. They're not being very kind either. This is one of the clips that I found of someone going in on Alex Fine and other women that expect men to actually support their spouses.
I don't even know where the argument is. I think that women want men to be Captain Save them because it actually reflects their own circumstance. Their own bad decisions on a regular basis of choosing the wrong man, having children out of wedlock, getting involved with people that they shouldn't have been involved in, and then being saved, knowing that that's not something that they would ever in life tell their sons to do. You would never tell your son to go and put himself in a situation where he's being cheated on after getting into a situation where he knew that she was out here being crazy and promiscuous. And I talked to people that was in the courtroom and they said that he was cringing, but then he was trying to stare at Diddy like it was a big problem. The reality is that we aren't wired like that. And I think that he could quite possibly be the biggest simp or homosexual, meaning that he's coming up off of her or he's just a really, really big simp. And we are not wired that way. We're not wired to take that level of criticism and ridicule and be embarrassed. And everywhere you go, everybody know that you are. We not built like that. Even people that subjects themselves to that lifestyle sexually, right? They are not built for the public criticism, even if they do certain things in private, and he will always be embarrassed. He will always be known as a guy that took second servings. He will always be known as a guy that's finishing another man's save game. And that's just it. But the women keep trying to make it seem like he a strong man, but no woman would ever want to be involved with a man like that unless they was taking advantage of him. That's just the facts.
In a day or time like this, where men like to portray themselves as protectors, you would think that a lot of men would congratulate Alex for sticking close to his wife in support of her, despite everything that she has been through, and that they would congratulate him for being the support system that she needs to be strong enough to, first of all, still be alive, right? And to come to court and lay everything bare. But of course, in typical fashion, some of these men are only protectors when the circumstance isn't so bad, right? When there's actually nothing for them to protect her from, that's when they're protectors. But when there's cause for their partner to be protected by them, that is when they want to turn around and say, no, this is too much. I don't want to be a simp. It's I don't want this image in my mind, and etc. Majority of these criticisms of Alex Fine for sticking next to Cassie has been coming from men, and they've been very, very negative. They've been so brutal, and just it is almost as if they're trying to encourage any man that would stick to their wife through this kind of circumstance to not support their spouses. It is almost as if they're coming to this agreement that they will not stick to a woman that they're in a relationship with that has been through a lot in her life. So it's interesting. How is it that you consider yourself to be a protector, but when your partner finally reveals that she needs protection, that is when you turn your back on her? That's basically what they're doing. And there's been a lot of support for the men that are being vocal about this. I'm not saying that people cannot react to some of these shocking things that they're learning about what happened in Cassie's previous relationship. But for them to criticize Alex for sticking by Cassie is wild. It's immature, it is ridiculous, and honestly, it just needs to stop. Also, there is no way that they don't know that Alex does not already know a lot of these details by now. People do not get on the stand without consulting with their attorney on what they would say and how they would say it. A lot of these things have been rehearsed, they've been gone over multiple times. I seriously doubt that Cassie was having conversations with her attorney without her husband next to her, without Alex next to her, considering that they're this close and he's been supporting her. So I'm sure he was at a lot of these meetings. I also highly doubt that Cassie have not sat down with Alex and had all of these conversations with him and told him a lot of the intimate details of a previous relationship, including any mistakes that she made after they started a relationship together. There is no way that they have not had that conversation. That's just what you do. Plus, Alex does not seem to me as if he's going blindly into this. Alex Fine used to work closely with Cassie while she was in her previous relationship. So Alex is familiar with Cassie's ex. He must have heard a lot about him. People in the industry or people that work for those celebrities in the industry they've always known about the kind of relationship that Cassie was in. So it is most likely that Alex have heard a lot about the kind of relationship Cassie was in, and the fact that she needed to get out. We've heard this in so many artist's music about the kind of relationship that Cassie was in. So I'm sure Alex, knew as well. He's heard some things. Matter of fact, his decision to go in a relationship with Cassie and help her out of her previous relationship is probably based on what he has heard. So these things would not be surprising to him. They will be painful for him to hear them, but I doubt that he would be surprised at what he hears. So just because the rest of us are shocked at what we're hearing about Cassie's previous relationship does not mean that Alex is as well. He has to comport himself, he has to withhold his anger, he has to react carefully so that he does not cause any more problems and so that everything can go smoothly. But it's definitely painful for him, and I think that he has been carrying himself pretty well considering everything and seeing what Cassie is having to go through, having to narrate all of this craziness to the public. It can't be easy for either of them. And the fact that he is supporting Cassie through this should be congratulated. These men need to put him on a pedestal. But, of course, they're not going to do that because the types of men that truly support women when women need them and truly protect women are not the kind of men that these men support. These men do not admire them. They do not see them as role models. They do not say positive things about them. Look at Sierra and her husband. It's the same thing. They call him a simp. They think he's stupid for sticking around because the woman that you're in a relationship with is not supposed to have any kind of negative experience, or she has to only have the kind of negative experiences that they can stomach, the kind that will not make them look bad to their bros. And it's this sort of childish, silly, ridiculous mentalities that they have that dictates the kind of relationships they get in, which is why a lot of them end up in these shallow relationships that amount to nothing. I think that if Alex is going to express his disapproval of whatever Cassie says or did, he can do that to Cassie behind closed doors, away from the public view. But I think that he, in the public, should continue to support Cassie and not give these men what they want, which is some kind of negative reaction towards Cassie, as if we don't already know that Cassie was definitely coerced in some way and forced to do a lot of the things that she did. And so it is really sad that after all these debates and podcasts and talks about being protectors, a lot of these men still do not understand what the word means, and that you are actually supposed to stand by your partner. But you know what? That's the world we live in today. At this point, I think that any adult male that does not understand what it means to protect their partners by now, whether it's from their previous relationship or anything else that they went through in their past or are going through currently, if they do not understand what it means to protect their partners by now and they're still so worried about what other men will think of them for standing by their partners, then they can't be helped. People that get it by now get it. If you do not get it by now, you're just never going to get it. And that's all I want to say on this. I saw the reactions and I was so shocked and taken aback, and I was just shaking my head because some people will never grow up. But anyway, that's all I have on Cassie and Alex Fine and this insane testimonies that's been going on. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.